Hi, I'm Dr. Samir bin Osman, and in this last episode of this series on principles of sciences, we're going to talk about the principles of Islamic sciences. So the Islamic sciences are the study of Islamic principles and theology and the laws that are based on the Quran and the teachings of the last prophet to humanity, Muhammad, peace be upon him. And Islam is the last messenger from the last message from the Creator of the universe to mankind to establish justice and to guide them to eternal success. So let's talk about our purpose in the universe. So everything in the universe has a preceding cause. So stars have a cause that preceded them, galaxies have a cause that caused them, etc. But the universe itself must have a cause that cannot be caused itself. Otherwise, we're going to go into infinite regression of cause and causality. So there has to end somewhere. And it ends with an ultimate originator that created the laws of the universe. And within those laws, a universe that's been fine-tuned for making matter, making stars, making planets, and the components of life on Earth, which itself has been also fine-tuned for life throughout its distance to the sun, its size, its tilt, as we saw in geography, the size of its iron core, as we saw in geology, the distance inside of the moon, as we saw in climatology, the percentage of liquid water, etc., etc. So based on the observed qualities and fine-tuning of the creation, we can deduct the attributes of the Creator, such as the unlimited power, the unlimited knowledge, the wisdom, etc. And so the wisdom of the Creator was to put beings with free choice, i.e. us, on Earth for a temporary time and allow them to recognize and then give them the choice to willingly choose to follow their Creator, to recognize and follow their Creator. So it has to be done willingly, otherwise they will lose free choice. And so those beings cannot have direct evidence, i.e. they cannot see God, because if they see God, they have no choice but to believe and follow Him. And so they have to have sufficient indirect evidence to deduce His existence. Therefore, the whole existence of man must be a place of test to allow them to choose for free. As such, the universe and life itself has been designed as a place of test, and as such is perfect for its purpose. And so its purpose is the test, and so it's designed as a succession of tests that include either more or less resources, more or less health, more or less abilities, and also the equal propensity to either do good or do evil. So we have the choice to do good and do evil. So in order to give mankind guidance for success in this test, the Creator has put basically an inner compass in man to recognize a higher being, and also sent human messengers with the way of life that needs to be followed in order to succeed in this test of life. The Creator also gave each of these messengers enough evidence or miracles to show that they are truly sent by the Creators. And these miracles have been tailored to each society based on its core expertise. So, for example, the miracles of Prophet Moses, peace be upon him, to the Egyptians were magic was widespread. So his miracles were in the realm of magic. And the Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him, were sent to the Israelites, where medicine became more established. So his miracles were in that nature as well. And given that the last and final message has been sent to all mankind, and given that all mankind has been matured intellectually, so the latest miracle is intellectual in nature and is lasting in nature. So it doesn't stop with the last messenger, because the message has to last till the end of times. And that miracle is the Quran. So God made commensurate consequences for success or failure. And to that end, He informed mankind that after this temporary life, they will be brought back to a special day called the Day of Judgment, where the ultimate justice will be served, and all mankind will end up either in a place perfectly designed for ultimate and eternal pleasure, called paradise, or a place designed for ultimate punishment called hell. And also He made these days and these places abundantly known in all the messengers that were sent to mankind. So let's talk about the time and place of the last message. So the last messenger, Muhammad, peace be upon him, has been chosen in the perfect place and the perfect time to deliver the final message to humanity. Why? It was during the time where most people have matured into large, organized societies and civilizations, such as the Romans, the Persians, the Indians, the Chinese, etc. And also in the Arabian Peninsula, where the Arabs did not have a kingdom, and so there's no fighting power for who rules the Arabs, but also had maintained and developed some qualities that were helpful to support the message, such as generosity, honor, strong cultural aversion to lying, as well as an unparalleled capacity to memorize and transmit poetry verbatim throughout generations, which served them very well to preserve the last revelation verbatim, which is the Quran. So the messenger, Muhammad, peace be upon him, delivered the message gradually over a period of 23 years, during which his companions transcribed the revelation of the Quran, memorized it, and memorized also the sayings and actions of the Prophet, because we said that the Prophet is the embodiment of the message. And so the sayings of the Prophet and his actions are memorized in what we call the hadith. And they embody basically how life should be lived according to Islam, thereby serving as a role model for other human beings to follow. That's the reason why we have been sent a human prophet. In addition, he established the principles of a just society and the first Muslim state that led to the Muslim civilization. And you can see here below the first manuscript of the Quran that was written by the companion of the Prophet, Uthman, and it's kept in the Museum of Topkapi in Istanbul. So, after the passing of the Prophet, the companions transmitted the Quran and the Hadith to the following generation, and then the following generation quickly put in place a science of authentication of the Quran and the Hadith to avoid the alteration of the message, alteration which happened in previous revelations. And so the principles of this science, called the science of Hadith, are that each man or woman in the chain of transmission, you can see below the chains of transmission, from the Prophet to a companion, to a disciple, and then to a narrator. So this chain of transmission, each person, man or woman in this chain of transmission, must satisfy conditions for the transmission to be accepted. So they must have excellent memory. They must have met physically the other person in time and in place. And then they must be known in their community for their high moral values, i.e. they're unlikely to lie. And so in order to enable this, the scholars authenticated and documented the lives of everyone who transmitted hadith, which is about 500,000 people. And they meticulously described their lives, biographies, who they listened to, who they learned from, what was their qualities, etc. And they compiled them in books that remain available today. So what's the message of Islam? The main principle of Islam is justice. Justice between man and their creator, justice amongst themselves, and justice towards the rest of the creation. So let's take each one and talk a little bit more about it. So between man and the creator, well, God made himself known to mankind in his last revelation through showing us his names and attributes, showing us the way he wants us to behave, etc. And among his attributes is the most merciful, the all-knowing, the all-wise, the all-powerful, the sustainer, the all-just, the ultimate witness, etc. So that we can recognize his attribute exactly, and we can see that his attributes are the same as the ones that we logically deduce while studying the universe, as we said earlier. As we study the universe, as we study the earth, how we study our bodies, etc., we see those with those attributes, at least some of those attributes. So the ultimate justice is to recognize those attributes and to choose to worship and follow his guidance. Well, then what is his guidance then? So first, God established the perfect way to worship him in order in the 5 pillars of Islam, starting with the testification of faith, i.e. testifying that there is no God but God and that Muhammad is his final messenger. And second, establishing the 5 daily prayers, 5 prayers a day. And then giving charity, which is 2.5 of disposable income per year, and giving it to the needy. And the 4th pillar of Islam is fasting during the month of Ramadan from dawn to dusk every day. And the 5th pillar of Islam is going on pilgrimage to Mecca once in a lifetime, if physically and financially able. Then we have justice amongst people. So the goal of the Islamic revelation is to protect 5 things in people's lives. So first, to protect their freedom to practice their religion without compulsion, to protect their lives and safety, to protect their livelihoods and belongings, to protect their families, honor and dignity, and to protect their freedoms and privacy. So to reach these goals, Islamic law is based on principles. There are many principles. I'm just going to give some examples. But the general principle is to make it easy for people to do good and make it hard for them to do evil, basically. So some of the principles are choosing the easiest of 2 good actions, for example. So every time there is choice between 2 actions, Islam tells us to choose the easier one. Another principle is accomplishing duties to the best of one's abilities with what's possible. So if we cannot accomplish 100%, we accomplish whatever we can. Also, that necessity brings ease. So it's basically the same principle applied for things that we should not be doing. But if we have no choice, then we do we stop doing what we can, and if we cannot, then we're forgiven. And also choosing the lesser of 2 evils. That's kind of part of the same principle. And the principle, which is like what is established with certainty cannot be revoked by doubt, and also that the burden of proof lies with the accuser, etc. And there are many other principles like these, and they manifest themselves at multiple levels, starting with the kind of the personal level, which is guidance about good manners, such as respect for the family, for the neighbors, helping the needy, etc. But also regulation of the economic activity, such as allowing free capital to operate. So Islam does not promote communism or socialism. While forbidding exploitative practices such as speculation or deceitful contracts, usury, market manipulation, etc. Regulation of family matters through regulation of marriage, protection of women's income within the marriage, regulation of divorce, regulation of inheritance and adoption, etc. And also regulation of social life through the redistribution of mandatory charity as well as voluntary charity to the needy, and protecting the rights of the parents, the rights of women, the rights of children, the rights of orphans, the rights of workers, etc. And then all the way to the regulation of matters of state, such as consultation with people by the leaders about important public matters affecting them, protecting foreigners' rights, protecting minorities' rights and other religious rights, as well as in foreign politics, in defense ethics, by honoring decrees and agreements with foreign nations, leaning towards peace whenever possible, and if war becomes inevitable, the ethics of war in Islam is to protect prisoners' rights, forbidding harm to women, children, elderly, forbidding harm even to trees and things of that nature. So these were principles of Islam known, 1400 years before the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the Geneva Convention, etc. Now, the third pillar of the principles of Islam is justice towards the rest of creation. So Islamic law also teaches to give rights to animals by ordering that animals that are used for work be given time to rest, and that they need to be treated with dignity, forbidding unnecessary harm or distress to them, or by using animals as practice targets or for hunting them for leisure. Of course, hunting to feed oneself is allowed in Islam, etc. And then we have also rests towards the rest of the creation, i.e. towards plants and the environment. And so these also have rights in Islam, as it stipulates that resources should be used only as needed. And for example, we're not allowed to use more water than needed, even if we are in front of a lake or a river. And forbids squandering natural resources, the unnecessary destruction of vegetation unless there is like a valid reason to do so, unnecessary pollution of the environment that may harm other living beings, etc. And so you can see basically the overarching principles of Islam going, transcendent between humans and towards nature. And with that, we came to the conclusion of the principles of Islamic sciences. And we also came to the conclusion of this series. I hope you learned something useful from it. If so, I would appreciate your comments. With that, thank you very much for your attention.